So this is a version of the Americana shoulder lock. Basically, when someone is going for your leg, going for like a single, grabbing your leg, and they have their head on the outside. Now, it's very often people have their head on the inside, but this is specifically when they have their head on the outside. And so what it looks like is this situation. So if you get your knees out like here, right? So he's grabbing my leg, and what you can see is his head is on the outside, right? Let's turn this way. So from here, okay, one of the things that I will do, so remember, in order to do these Americanas, what we're looking to do is we're looking to put pressure on the elbow. The elbow lifts and the wrist moves in the opposite direction. And so one of the things that I do is instead of having my knee on the outside of his elbow, which is normally where we would catch like crucifixes, right? Now what I do is I bring my knee on top of his elbow. So my knee goes on top of his elbow, I lock his wrist, and now I turn my hips. And a lot of times, one of the things that I can do to really make this tighter is move his head away. So let's turn this way, right? So a lot of times he's here, he's grabbing my leg, right? He gets back to turtle and he's grabbing my leg. So my leg goes against his elbow. I pull my heel to my butt just to be able to trap his wrist. I'll come with the crossface. So a lot of times as I turn my hips, I'll reach around and crossface him. And then as my hip turns, so you can see how much more movement. So what's really important is that I'm using my knee to block this elbow. And as my hip turns, you can see this pressure on the shoulder. And again, if I can crossface him, if I can actually bring my hand across and just cup his shoulder, it's way, way tighter. So again, I'm going to do this at full speed now, 100%. I'm just kidding. It's so tight, right? So he's got, and the nice thing is even with this grip, right? This looks like a very secure grip. The problem is he's using his arms against my leg. And normally my leg will be stronger, especially if I'm using two legs. So the key is really pressuring his elbow, catching it here, right? Blocking his face. And then I have a little bit of pressure I need here to basically be able to lock his arms. So a lot of times, you know, someone's even grabbing your leg, right? You can push their head down to force them to go to the outside and then catch this, right? So a lot of times they have their head on the inside, right? And they're here. If we can push their head down, right? Sometimes we can get them to switch and immediately attack the shoulder lock by just stuffing them and having them move their head back to the outside, right? So that's a nice version. It sometimes happens for me, sometimes doesn't, but it's just important for you guys to know. A lot of times it's there, and a lot of times, even from this position here, okay, from this kind of turtle position, a lot of times I'll just put my leg there and bait them to grab it, right? Or kind of like a crucifix setup, right? I'll put my leg inside and then bait them to grab it. And when they grab it, I'll drop. And then again, it takes a little coordination with your legs to feel how to set up the arm, but we can attack it. And so a lot of times people will be, if I just put my knee here, a lot of times he'll try to grab it to be able to take me down with it, right? So yeah, he can lock it in. Look, you see how my leg, so my leg comes around, I pressure on his elbow, and then make sure I'm biting tight, so pull your arm out. Hard to pull your arm out. If I crossface, it gets even worse. And just turning my hip now basically attacks the shoulder.